I don't think most people realize this when they first get into trading, but there's a version of discipline that sounds right, looks right on paper, feels like the exact thing you should be doing, and still breaks you. Not because you're weak, not because you didn't try hard enough, but because it doesn't fit the shape of how you actually think when the trade is live. I spent 8 months forcing myself to aim for 1 to 3 risk to reward setups. That was the ratio everyone said mattered, the one that made you look serious, the one that separated smart traders from gamblers. And I believed it. I really did. But every single time I entered a trade with that target in mind, something changed inside me. The moment price moved in my favor, I started watching it differently. Not like a trader executing a plan, like someone guarding something fragile. I didn't realize it at first. I thought I was being patient. But I wasn't patient. I was tense. I was holding my breath. And by the time price pulled back even slightly, I was already planning my exit, bargaining with myself, wondering if I should just take what was there before it disappeared. I kept telling myself, this is what professionals do. This is how you win long term. But I wasn't winning. I was exhausted, and I didn't know how to say that out loud. Before we go further, if this kind of honest conversation about trading resonates with you, please subscribe to the channel. These stories don't get told often, and I want to keep creating space for them. There's a pressure that comes with holding for a bigger target that nobody really explains. It's not about the setup. It's not even about the market. It's about what happens to you while you wait. You enter clean, you feel confident, price moves your way, and for a moment everything aligns. You're up 0.5%, then 1%, then 1.5%, and that's when the noise starts. You start thinking about what you could lock in right now. You start remembering the last time you gave back profit. You start imagining price reversing and how stupid you'll feel for not taking what was right there. You tell yourself to stay calm, to trust the plan, but your hand is already on the mouse. I started noticing this in myself first, but then I started hearing it from others too. There was a woman in my accountability group named Priya. She traded part-time after her kids went to school. Very disciplined, very consistent. She followed a 1 to 3 system she'd learned from a course, and for months she showed up every week with the same frustration. I keep exiting early, she'd say. I know I should hold, I just can't. She wasn't failing, she was profitable, but she was fighting herself every trade. And over time, you could hear it in her voice. She wasn't enjoying it anymore, she was enduring it. Then there was Daniel. He traded futures. He had this rule, never close before 1 to 2 minimum. It sounded solid. It sounded like someone who knew what they were doing. But in private messages, he'd admit that he spent entire trading sessions staring at his P&L, refreshing it, talking himself out of closing, then hating himself when the trade reversed and stopped him out for a loss. I know what I'm supposed to do, he said once. I just don't know how to feel okay doing it. I want to tell you something my mentor once said to me back when I was still trying to force the 1 to 3 approach. She asked me, how do you feel 30 seconds after you enter a trade? I didn't understand the question at first. I thought she was going to talk about confirmation or momentum or something technical. But she wasn't. She said, if you feel afraid the moment you're in profit, that's not a market problem. That's a mismatch between your system and your nervous system. I didn't know what to do with that. It sounded too simple, too soft, but I kept thinking about it, because she was right. Every time I aimed for 1 to 3, I felt like I was white-knuckling my way through the trade. I wasn't present, I was just trying not to fail. I kept trading the same way for a while. I didn't know what else to do. Enter, watch, wait, start feeling the tension build, talk myself into staying, watch price pull back, feel my chest tighten, exit, feel disappointed, do it again the next day. It wasn't dramatic. It didn't feel like I was doing anything wrong in the moment, but it was exhausting in a way that's hard to explain. There was a trader I knew named Sarah. She worked in healthcare, traded in the mornings before her shift. She had this beautiful journal where she tracked every trade, entry, exit, emotions, everything. One week, she posted a photo of a page in the group chat. It just said, in neat handwriting, I don't think I'm scared of losing. I think I'm scared of waiting. That line stayed with me because that's what it felt like. Not fear of the market, fear of the space between entry and exit, fear of sitting still while something good could disappear. I started testing something quietly. I didn't announce it. I didn't change my whole system. I just started aiming for 1-to-1 instead. Same setups, same risk, just a closer target. The first time I did it, I felt guilty, like I was giving up, like I was admitting I wasn't good enough to do it the right way. But something else happened too. I held the trade. I didn't fight myself. I didn't spend the whole time negotiating with my own fear. I just traded. I closed at 1-to-1, logged it, felt fine, and moved on. It wasn't exciting, it wasn't impressive, but it was the first time in weeks I didn't feel like I was at war with myself.
If you're recognizing yourself in any of this, the internal tension, the second guessing, the feeling that you're supposed to trade a certain way even when it doesn't fit, leave a comment below. Let me know what's been the hardest part of finding your own rhythm. I read every single one, and honestly, your experiences help shape what I talk about next. I kept trading with 1-to-1 targets for a few weeks before I said anything to anyone, not because I thought I'd discovered something, but because I didn't want to defend it yet. I wasn't even sure it was the right move. I just knew it felt different. Then I talked to my mentor again. I told her what I'd been doing. I explained it carefully, almost apologetically. I said, I know it's not optimal. I know on paper 1-to-3 is better, but I can actually follow through with this. She was quiet for a moment. Then she said something I wasn't expecting. The ratio that works is the one you can repeat without breaking yourself. She told me about a trader she'd worked with years ago, a guy named Marcus who traded oil futures. He was smart. He understood probabilities. He had a 1-to-4 system that looked incredible in backtest. But every time he took a trade, he'd start calculating how much he could lose if it went wrong. He'd move his stop tighter, he'd close early, he'd override his own rules trying to protect himself from a loss that hadn't even happened yet. One day she told him, "You're not trading your system, you're trading your fear of your system." He switched to 1-to-1, took smaller position sizes, stopped trying to be perfect. And 6 months later, he was still trading, still consistent, still calm. She said he didn't make less money, he made more, because he stopped sabotaging himself. Then she told me about another trader, a woman named Claire, who ran a small business and traded on the side. Claire had the opposite problem. She could hold trades, she had patience, but she was aiming for 1-to-5, sometimes 1-to-6, and she barely ever hit it. Most of her trades would move 80% of the way to target, then reverse. She'd get stopped out at break-even or small loss over and over again. Not because her analysis was wrong, but because she was aiming for something the market just didn't give her often enough to stay motivated. My mentor said she wasn't failing, she was aiming past where her edge actually lived. When Claire moved to 1-to-2, something shifted. She started hitting her targets. Her win rate went up. She felt like she was trading with the market instead of waiting for it to do something extraordinary. My mentor looked at me and said, "The best traders I know don't have the best ratios. They have the ratios they can execute without hesitation. That's the only edge that survives." I sat with that for a long time because I realized I'd been trying to trade the way I thought I should trade, not the way I could trade. And there's a difference, a big one. I wasn't less disciplined for choosing 1-to-1. I was finally being honest about what discipline actually looked like for me. It wasn't about lower standards, it was about building a system I could emotionally carry, day after day, trade after trade, without fear, without bargaining, without feeling like I was fighting myself the whole way through. I still trade with one-to-one targets most of the time now. Some people hear that and think I'm leaving money on the table. Maybe I am. I don't know. What I do know is that I don't wake up dreading my trades anymore. I don't spend the entire session trying to talk myself into staying in a position. I don't close my laptop feeling like I failed because I didn't hit some perfect number that sounded good in theory but never felt possible in practice. My mentor told me a story once near the end of one of our calls. She said when she first started trading, she worked with a mentor who told her, "The market doesn't care what ratio you're aiming for. It's going to do what it does. Your only job is to build a relationship with it that you can sustain." She said she didn't understand that for years. She thought it was vague, soft, not tactical enough. But eventually she realized he wasn't talking about the market, he was talking about her, about what she could carry, what she could repeat, what she could do without breaking. I think about that a lot now, because trading isn't just about what works in backtest, it's about what you can live inside of. It's about the space between entry and exit, and whether that space makes you calmer or more afraid. If this resonated with you, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribed. I'm going to keep sharing these kinds of honest reflections, the parts of trading that don't fit neatly into strategy videos, but matter as much. I'm still learning what fits me. I'm still adjusting, but I'm not fighting myself anymore. And that, for me, has been worth more than any perfect ratio ever was.